Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Thank you for sparing your own time out to check out my thoughts on Getaway / Svalta, but we'll just call it Getaway. This was sent to me early from IFC Films and Shudder ahead of its theatre release on December 6th and also then eventually on Shudder in 2025. So I do want to say a thank you to those guys for hitting me up with an early screener. Now this does have a pretty star cast for a lower budget movie, including the likes of Nick Frost, Aisling Bea, Sebastian Croft and Maisie Ayres. This focuses on a family of four of the cast that I've just mentioned. They decide to take a trip over to a small remote Swedish island, although this movie is shot in Finland. I don't know why. Anyway, so they're going to make this trip to the Swedish island, and before they get on the boat to get there, there's like some locals that say, look, don't go to the island. They don't like foreigners. They don't like people visiting this island. They like just having this kind of sacred community and just keeping to themselves. However, this family go against that warning and they decide to travel to this island, to Svalta, and they are going to experience this kind of ritual, routine, yearly kind of show called the Karatan. However, once they get to the island, the fellow community soon start to make their visit feel unwelcomed. What I can say is this is going to be a bit of a divisive movie, and I'll go into a little bit more reasons why, but the perfect way I can explain this is like in the title, Wicker Man meets Shudder. Now, if you've ever seen the Wicker Man movie, of course it's based on an island, it's based on kind of like a cult and a community, not wanting outsiders and basically keeping to themselves, but also having their traditions. This follows a very similar plot to that. Now, going into some positives right away, the cinematography, although again, as I said, this was shot in Finland, is absolutely beautiful. Just the houses, the architecture, the landscapes really just absorb you into this remote island feel. And I did feel that moment of seclusion throughout. It felt, okay, yeah, this is maybe quite remote, but I still felt that I was kind of claustrophobic as such in terms of how far or how wide on this island I can actually genuinely go. So I'll give the filmmakers props because this is directed by Steffen Haars, and I think that for the most part they do a good job. But going more into those positives, of course you've got Nick Frost and Aisling Bea, who plays Richard and Susan, the mum and dad figures. Now of course these two are established actors, of course Nick Frost more than anyone, and Aisling Bea, I would say that they both give good performances. Now do I think that they bring anything fresh and unique to the table that they maybe haven't done before? No, not necessarily, but at the same time that's not necessarily also a bad thing. They give, again, just good performances and they kind of commit to these roles, especially when the movie takes a twist. And however, what I've got to say is, what are the younger kids like? Well, for me, I would say the standout is Jessie, who's played by Maisie Ayres. I think that character was kind of the most believable. It looked like the character that was having the most fun on the set, and I think they just gave generally the better performance out of even a lot of them, including the veteran actors, at least for me anyway. The music that accompanies this by Hybrid, I believe it was, I really like the music. There's a couple of synthetic noises. There's also some really creepy horror moments and sounds when it needs to be, and I just felt it was very effective for what they were trying to produce. And there was a few moments I had some good chuckles throughout, and I was watching this in the gym as well, by the way. So yeah, I was watching this and I was like, yeah, there's a few moments that got me good, and I was like, okay, I kind of appreciate some of the practical effects that we got along the way, because it kind of goes off the walls as we go in towards the third act. And I think this is where the divisiveness of this film is going to be, and this kind of goes more into my negatives. So this takes a twist in kind of the middle, the second act, going into that third last act of the movie. And I appreciate the twist because at first I did not see it coming. So bravo to the filmmakers and the writers, who created this and gave us that different take into how this was going to go. Because I expected to go one way and it kind of changes the landscape, which I appreciate. Now, however, I don't think that twist is going to work for everyone, because unfortunately what starts out as like kind of a creepy, suspenseful and kind of atmospheric toned movie kind of goes bonkers off the wall more into a horror comedy. Now, of course, if you love horror comedies and you love kind of like that dark humor, I think you'll probably really appreciate the twist and how the movie ends up and it wraps up towards the end. But if you like more of that kind of serious tone, I think you may not love the after the twist and how the direction it goes, because for me it started to feel a little bit more goofy. And again, I applaud the risk that was taken, but unfortunately it didn't fully execute for me. But I think another factor that goes into that is some of the dialogue that's given to our cast, and some of it I just don't think works that well. It feels like it's trying to be cleverly written, but it's also kind of not at the same time. And I think this is where it's just kind of left me torn throughout, because I was on board with the whole movie. I wasn't bored throughout any of it. I was very intrigued into how this first started and how we first established our characters and to how our characters end up. I'll be curious as to what your guys' thoughts are. Did you really enjoy Getaway? Is it a one that you would watch, annually every year? I can definitely see that happening for some people. Then I can also see some people watching this as a one-time watch, and then that would be it. My overall score for Getaway would be between a 2.5 and a 3 stars out of 5. If you don't already know, I do also have a Patreon where you get much more access to stuff that's not here on YouTube, including exclusives that will never be on my channel. So you can join today from only £2 per month. Links down below in the description box, and big thanks to all these awesome legends who are part of Patreon. Now, in the meantime, if you haven't seen these videos of mine, well, hey, click over here, have a bit of a deep dive. Till next time, I see you guys. I'll be seeing you later.